Amanda, youth ministers and practical theologians who work on youth ministry have a great sense of gratitude to the Lilly Endowment for their long commitment to supporting youth theology institutes and summer programs on different campuses. And I know that you have just received a major grant from Lilly to do something of this ilk, but that you have a particular distinctive aspiration that you want to bring. Tell us about where you are in your planning, and in particular, what you want to emphasize in the way you do it where you are.
I am so excited about this. We launch our first cohort in June. And I think what's going to make this a bit different is we started with a white paper and asked the question, okay, what if we could create any kind of theological education training for pastors that we want? Like, what are the best practices we could tap into? And so what we did was, rather than self-care or pastoral care being something that you take later on in your ministerial career, you know, after you've been in school for a few years, now I'm going to learn how to do this self-care. What if that was forefronted? What if the whole start of one's theological education happened with a mind's eye towards the pastor as self type thing? And so what this means is, for this 2-week program, we're not doing any early morning classes. There is a New Testament survey class they'll get college credit for, but it's not going to start at 7:50 in the morning. So it'll start later in the day. There's a long break in the afternoon for lunch and then napping or studying, and then we'll come back for a little bit more of class. But we don't want students to have to choose between sleep or homework. We want there to be space for both. And we could be trying to have our cake and eating it too, but I'm excited. We're revolving this whole thing too around Ignatius of Loyola's Examen. And so they'll be in smaller groups within this cohort. And at the end of every day, we're just going to be asking some of the questions from the Examen. The where did you sense the presence of God? Where did it seem like God was absent? So that's going to be embedded into the program. We've got opportunities to cook for one another, eat with one another. We're in talks with a local pet shelter to come in for some pet therapy time. In some ways, it might sound like we're coddling, but at the same time, there's joy in ministry, as we've been talking about. And if we can tap into that early in their theological education, that there's something life-giving about what we're doing here, we know the hard times are going to come. But if we can tap into something that's life-giving from the very start while they're so young, that this is what ministry looks like in the best case scenario, that's just exciting for me.